This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, in today's session, we're going to discuss about variable arguments and keyword variable arguments. This is nothing but the keyword variable arguments. ARG stands for the variable arguments. Okay, you have been seeing the single asterisk as well as the double asterisk in the code. For example, first we're going to talk about the non-keyworded arguments. There are two types as there. You can able to see the two types will be non-keyworded arguments, and then K stands for keyword arguments. For example, I am writing an addition program. In the addition program, I have one function. Sometimes I'll add two numbers. Sometimes I'll add three numbers. Sometimes I'll add 10,000 numbers. I don't know how many arguments I need to pass for an addition. Sometimes I'll pass two arguments, three arguments, or 10 arguments I can pass, right? This kind of situation, for example, I have one method called adder method. In the adder method, I'm going to add three values x, y, and z. Now, if I want to add five values, I want to pass five arguments. If I want to add 10,000 values, I want to add 10,000 arguments. Okay, this is not the efficient way. Actually, this is not the efficient way. That's why we have came across the non-keyworded arguments. In the non-keyworded arguments, what you have to do, I'm going to have a notepad. I'm going to have a notepad. In that, what I'm going to do, instead of passing three parameters, I can pass an asterisk, and then you can pass like here, yes, or here is underscore one, you can pass, and then what I can do, I'm going to perform only the addition, right? I can use some method, and then I can add this value. Now if I call this method, I can pass three values or four values, five values I can pass. I can pass up to 10 values. I can pass the n number of values I can pass. Now I'm going to add four numbers. Now I'm going to add five numbers. Now I'm going to add six numbers. Okay, this is nothing but a non-keyword argument. I'm not passing any key. I'm just passing the arguments. I don't know how many parameters I want to pass in the function. So that's why I'm passing the non-keyworded arguments in the function. Okay, if the argument somewhat is variable, you can't able to it's not predefined. Okay, sometimes I'll add 10 numbers, sometimes I'll add 20 numbers. Okay, sometimes I'll multiply it 20 numbers, 30 numbers. I don't know the how many arguments I need to pass. At the time we have to use the non-keyworded arguments. Okay, now I'm going to open my pycharm. I'm going to show some examples. Now in this documentation they are shown only a simple one, nothing but the adder method. Now here the arguments they have passed only three arguments x, y, z. But in adder method they passed how many arguments they passed? Five arguments they passed. Definitely it's going to throw some exception. It's saying takes three positional arguments, but five are given because it accepts only three arguments, but you are given with five. At this time, you can use the non-keyworded arguments. Okay, this is how non-keyword argument comes into picture. Yeah, now we're going to see what we're going to see in a sense. Just past asterisk, single asterisk means non-keyword arguments, and then it will return the result in the form of tuple. For example, if I passing this value 10, 12, 13, 15, 20, 67, it's going to pack in form of tuple. Okay, how the value is going to go into in the sense like it's going to be 10, 12, 13, 15, 25, 67 will be in form of tuple. Form of will be tuple. Okay, that's what I mentioned here is. Yeah, you can use non-keyword arguments, and then you can pass a variable to the number of non-keyword arguments you function, as well as whenever you pass to the function, it's going to pack like a tuple, and the tuple will be passed as an input to this sum of arguments underscore one. Now I open my Python and then open the project. In that project, we have a directory called functions. Now I'm going to create a py file for non-keyword arguments. Non-keyword arguments, because there's no keyword, right? That's why I'm mentioning is non-keyword arguments. Close this. Now I'm going to have one function. In that function, I'm going to pass the non-keyword arguments. Non-keyword arguments are going to pass. Now I'm going to use method called adder. In the adder method, I'm going to pass the non-keyword arguments. Okay, you can pass args underscore one and then colon. I'm going to assign some variable. The variable I'm going to keep at 0. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, I will say the result as well. I'm going to add four numbers 4, 5, and 6, 7. What will result actually? 4 plus 5, 9, 9 plus 6, 15, 15 plus 7, 22. Right? Now, what I'm going to do for, I'm going to write a for loop, and then I'm going to use an iterable variable k in is nothing but a membership operator, and then I'm going to get the non-keyword arguments. I can pass n number of arguments, and then I'm going to have one same variable. I'm going to throw the result same variable sum equal to sum plus k. That's it. Sum equal to sum plus k. After that, I'm going to print the results. Print of sum. The total is, I can use a placeholder, and then I can use format. Okay, and then I can pass the sum value. Now I'm going to call this method. There's no class. Okay, directly can call the method adder of. I can pass any arguments, like I'm going to pass 23 comma 34. 23 comma 34, and then it's going to do the addition. You can able to see total is 57. Now I can add five numbers 12, 2, 3, and 4, and then 5. Now I can add five numbers. But here you can able to see I have passed the non-keyword arguments. If I give single asterisk, you can pass n number of arguments you can pass. Your function can accept n number of arguments, but once you enter the function, it will go in form of tuple. Okay. Now I'm going to show something like 2 comma 3 comma 2 comma 2 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 7 comma as well 8 comma 9 comma and then 10. Okay. Now the total is going to be 53. The next thing I'm going to show keyword arguments. Keyword arguments you have to use double asterisk you have to use, and then you can use any argument name. Okay, but you have to use double asterisk. This double asterisk mostly is in dictionaries. Okay, for example, I don't know the how many arguments I want to pass for a function. Your keyword argument should be a dictionary. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write one method for the keyword arguments. Def of what you can do, we can keep some method name. Method name, what I can keep, like sample. Now what I'm going to do, going to pass the keyword arguments. Keyword arguments, you have to use double asterisks, and then I'm going to pass like double asterisks of value. Okay, it's nothing but your keyword arguments. And then what I'm going to do, mostly I can use only for dictionaries. Okay, mostly I can use for dictionaries. Now you're going to see, I'm going to call this method. I'm going to call this method. The method name is sample. Now what we have to do? Dictionary means you have to pass key and values. Key and values you can pass. First name equal to san. First name equal to san. Okay, and then like I can pass last name. Last name equal to I can pass like somewhat okay somewhat y. Okay, and then age age somewhat 26, and then date of birth is a key. Date of birth is a key. Value is going to be something 24/03/1994. Okay, like this I can pass the multiple key and values. Okay, if I using double asterisk is a keyword argument, because I pass the key, because I don't know how many keys I want to pass to the function. Okay, now I call this method with multiple key and values, and then what I going to do, though it's a dictionary, though it's going to dictionary, I want to use items to split into key and values. For that I going to use for loop. I'm going to have I want to have key and value. I want to use a membership operator. The membership operator I want to use, and then in this value I am passing the entire dictionary. You can see this value passing the entire dictionary. If I want to get the key and values, I want to use the items value dot items I want to use. It's going to give the key as well as value. It's going to give this item variable is key. This item variable is going to be value. Now I can use the string formatting. Key is use a placeholder, and value is another placeholder dot format, and then you can pass the key and values. Key comma value can pass from the idle value can pass a key and value. Now while it's printing, it is going to print key is first name and value is going to san, and then for next iteration it's going to print key is last name, value is going to be triple y, and then third iteration key is going to be age, and then value is going to be 26, and then for next iteration last iteration key is going to be date of birth, and then value is going to be 24/03/1994. Now I'm calling this method sample method. You can see key is first name and value is san, key is last name and value is triple y, key is age and age is 28, key is DOB and value is going 24/3/1994. Okay, this is how you can pass the keyword arguments. You want to use double asterisk while passing the argument. If you're passing double asterisk, it is going to keyword argument. If it's single asterisk, it's going to non-keyword arguments. Mostly keyword arguments only used for dictionaries, and then okay, now I'm going to show one more examples. I'm going to have py file keyword arguments, and then non-keyword arguments. If it is a keyword argument, I want to use double asterisk or single asterisk. If it is a keyword argument, I want to use single asterisk or double asterisk.
Double asterisk.
Double asterisk is mostly used for dictionaries. If you want to pass some multiple int values in a function, you can use the non-keyworded arguments. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to have one class. In that class, I'm going to have one constructor, and then I'm going to have one method. In that method, I'm going to pass the keyword arguments and non-keyword arguments. I'm going to pass. Okay, I'm going to have the class name as fruits. We can keep a common name. Class going to fruits, and then how to initialize constructor. How to initialize a constructor. Think for a while and say the answer. How to initialize constructor. What magic method will you use for initializing constructor? I'm saying what magic method will you use for initializing constructor? Init you will use. Init you use to initialize the constructor. Init nothing but a initialization of constructor we will use. Okay, now I'm going to have one constructor, def of, and let's go. This is a dun methods, or you can say it's a magic methods. DUDN. Dun methods, or we can say it's a magic methods. We can say, yeah, we can use the init, and then though it's going to a class, you have to pass the class instance. You have to pass. When you're creating object, you get a class instance. That class instance will be the self one. Okay. Now I create a constructor. In the constructor, I going to pass the single asterisk. Single asterisk means non-keyworded arguments. Otherwise, I'm going to pass value. Okay. Self dot price equal to, this is a variable actually, price equal to, what I going to do, I going to pass value of 0. Value of 0. Value of 0 means I'm going to pass some multiple values. The 0 will be index. 0 will be index. For example, I can say, I can take the notepad. See, I have the values, negative arguments in form of tuple. Now, arguments value of 0 will be, what 0 is the index value? Equal to 4. Value of first index value will be 5. Value of second index value will be 6. Value of third index value will be 7. Okay, like this, based on the index value, I can assign my value. Okay, now value of 0 means the value is going to 4. The price is going to 4. Okay, like that. Now and then I want to know the weight. Fruits you have weight, right? Weight equal to, I want to get second value. I want to pass the first index. I want to get second value. 0 is a 0th index value, and first will be the first index value I will get, and then I can assign to the variable. I hope you clear, right? I can pass 0th index value. I can get the value as 4, and then if I get value of 1, I'll get the weight as 5 kg. Okay. Now I want to create object. How to create object? How to create object for this class?
Instance name.
Yeah, instance name you have to create. Okay, class instance. Okay, kiwi. Okay, I given the class instance nothing but kiwi, and then
Class name.
what's yeah, class name I want to
Fruits.
give fruits, and then you want to call the constructor. Okay, now I'm going to pass the, how many values I want to pass for a constructor? So it's a constructor, right? I want to pass how many values?
Yes.
I want to pass only one. I want to pass here. I'm going to pass like two values I want to pass. Okay. Now I'm going to have the price is 200. Weight is equal to 20 kg. Weight equal to 20 kg. And then oranges. I have another fruit. That is my class instance. And then create one more object. I'm going to pass the prices 100 and then 5 kg. Now, if I want to get the kiwi price, how will get the kiwi price? They want to get the key price. How will you get a key price? I want to get the key price, right? Key is the class instance. Just substitute instead of self. Just substitute instead of self keyword. Self is nothing but referring the current class instance. Self is nothing but referring the current class instance. Instead of self, substitute kiwi. Now kiwi dot price equal to 200. Kiwi dot weight equal to 20. Okay. Now how to get the this price? Call the kiwi dot price. You have to call kiwi dot price. Kiwi is nothing but a class instance actually. 200. And then orange weight. How will you find orange weight? We'll find the orange weight. Substitute the orange instead of self keyword. Okay, and then orange at price equal to orange at weight will come, right? Pass same thing. Orange dot weight equal to, yeah, orange dot weight. Why it's throwing error? Orange is right. Or yes. Now we can get the weight equal to 5 kg. See, this is how you can pass the non-keyworded arguments. Now, can you do one more thing? I want to pass keyword arguments. How to pass a keyword arguments? How to pass a keyword arguments? Let it be. Like I'm going to pass double asterisk. I'm going to pass double asterisk means keyword arguments. I'm going to make one, and then what you can do. I'm going to have self dot color. Fruit color will be there, right? Equal to, though it's a keyword arguments, I want to pass a key. Argument underscore one. Use square brackets as a key. What's the key I can give? What's the key I can give? R means red, right? R means red. And then color, and then shape. Variable equal to arguments underscore one, and then shape equal to C means circle. Actually, this R and C is going to key. Okay, R and C is going to be the key. Okay. Now what I going to do? I going to create. I going to remove all these things. Otherwise, I can comment this thing as of now. Comment these things. Comment this one as well. Comment this one as well. Okay. Now I'm going to create an object. Keep some current class instance. Object underscore one equal to fruits of. I want to create a constructor. I create a constructor. Now I want to pass the values. I want to pass two keyword arguments, sorry, non-keyword arguments, and then two more keyword arguments I want to pass. I'm going to pass the prices 200, and then weight is going to be 20 kg, and then I'm going to pass what I want to pass. I want to pass the keyword arguments. Keyword arguments, what I can pass. Okay, I can pass the keyword arguments is R stands for red. Okay, and C stands for circle. Or otherwise you can see C stands for circle shape. C stands for circle. Now what I'm going to do? I'm going to use a print statement. I'm going to instead of self. Self is nothing but referring the current class instance. For this object is a class instance. Substitute the self. Instead of self is substitute object underscore one. Now object underscore one dot shape, right? Shape. Let's see the value. I getting circle
Circle.
because
Okay.
circle. If I want to pass like color, I'm going to see. I can see here. This is a keyword arguments. Keyword arguments. You want to pass a key. Keyword arguments. You want to pass a key. But non-keyed arguments, no need to pass any key. No need to pass any key. Okay, now it's going to print red because we have the key equal to R and then value equal to red. Okay, well, now the color value will be red. This is the use of keyworded arguments and non-keyword arguments. Mostly, if you are passing to a function as a multiple arguments, you can. It's not a right way actually. Okay, it's not a precious way. Better you can go for the keyword arguments. If it is a string argument or any integer argument, you can go for non-keyword arguments. If it's a dictionary, okay. So if it's any collection key and value pair, then you can go for the keyworded arguments. But definitely, you have to pass a key. Now, next thing you're going to see, okay, it's very, very important actually. Okay, it's advanced Python. The topic is nothing but closures. I'm going to have one py file, closures. I'm going to make _1. Before going to closures, you should know what is nested function. What is nested function? Okay, nested function means inside one function we have another function. That is nothing but a nested function. Okay, I going to implement one nested function over here. Def of we can use factorial of number. Factorial of numbers we are going to calculate. I'm going to have one function. I'm going to have one function, and then I'm going to assign one variable. Factorial already know, right? The formula will be n factorial. Formula is n factorial. N factorial. If I give 5 factorial, the value will be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. You'll get right. The same thing I'm going to implement now. Now the factorial value assigned as 1. Okay, now what I going to do, I'm going to have one more function. In one function we have another function we can say it's a nested function. Calculate fact value. In that fact value, I want to pass one additional argument called number. I don't know, I want to pass a number, right? This is a n value. I want to pass a n value. 5 factorial means it's going to give 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Okay, that's why I'm passing one more argument called number argument. Okay, though it's a single argument, no need to use non-keyword arguments. If you are doing some addition operation or multiplication operation, then you can go for the non-keyword arguments as not required. And then now I know the formula. I know the formula. What I'm going to do for I in, I have one variable called for I in membership operator range, and then yeah, I'm going to calculate like the start index will be 0, and index will 5, index will be 5. Okay, otherwise you can make the start index 1, index is 6. Because we're going to make n minus 1 over here because we're considering 0, right? So make it n minus 1, 1 comma 6, and then already know the formula. What formula you know? No. Fact equal to fact star I. Fact equal to fact star I. Now return the which value? Return the fact value. Return the fact value. Now, okay, I will copy this method and keep in Notepad++. Okay, later I'll come to this factorial. I'll remove this thing as of now. I'm going to print only the number. How will call this function? See, I have one function. Inside I have another function that is called nested function. For understanding, I can make a note. This is nothing but the enclosing function. It's nothing but your nested function. Inside function we have another function means that is called as nested function. How will you call this function? In the previous class I discussed about what is first class functions. If I want to call my if I want to calculate the fact, what it will do? In first class functions, you can call the function and then you can assign the results to the variable called x. Variable called x. If you print this x, hold a minute. If you print this x, it's going to give the result as none because I am calling this fact method. In the fact method, I have literally only one variable, fact equal to 1. I have not used any return statement for this outer. For a enclosing function, I have not used any return statement. That's why giving output as none. If I want to call this method, what I have to do? What you have? X dot? No, see, we are not using any class over here. We are not creating any class instance. Okay, we are not using any class here. We are not using any constructor. We are used only the method. Just think about the first class objects. How we did. Just we will call this method and then assign to one variable, and then what we will do, we will call x of. If you call x of, it will going to call this nested function. Let's see the results and then come to a point. Because I want to pass the value, right? Because I given x of function, I want to pass the value over here. That's why it's throwing. I'm not passing any argument. That's a none type object is not callable. Okay, just make the values 3. Now it's going to print the 3. None type object is not callable. Okay, why it's showing none type object is not callable? None type object is not callable. Why? Hold a minute. Return of no. Okay. You can, some indentation issues. Some indentation issues there. Wait. Indentation issues. Are none type object is not callable. Okay. Syntax error. Okay. Okay, like come on. None type object is not callable. Why are you getting like this? I called x equal to fact. Okay. And x of 3 I calculated. Where I'm making mistakes. 1 minute. X equal to factor of. We'll do one thing. We'll assign to one variable x equal to fact of. Okay, just print the value. Is going to give the result of none. Okay, fine. Now call this function, make it x of 3. Line number 11. A none type object is not callable. Yeah, none type object is not callable. Okay, because this method is giving the return type as none. Okay, what I can do, I'll use a return statement and then return this value. Okay, let's see. Again, it's giving a none type. Okay. None type is object is not callable. It's giving none type object is not callable. Not calculate factorial. Let's see. Missing one required positional arguments num. Okay, requires one missing arguments dot num. Okay. Okay, it's giving like function dot fact dot local and then giving memory address.
This conference will now be recorded.
See, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to have two functions. One is a factorial function, enclosing function. Another one is going to be the nested function. Nested function. When we have function in another function, inside another function, we'll call it as nested function. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to print this value. The value I'm going to print as number. After printing the number, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a return keyword. If someone call this method, I'm going to return this value. What value I'm going to return in the sense, I'm going to call this method. That's it. I'm going to call this method. The results of this value will be given in the console. If someone call this method, what will happen? Okay, it's going to return this calculate factor. Calculate factor is a method. After calling this method, it's going to print the result as 3. Okay, now what I am going to have, I'm going to have one variable. I'm going to call a function. If you print the value of y, it's going to give the partial function object. The memory address of this object is, you can see here, like 6 zeros 2 3 4 5 2 7 t620. It will be a partial function because I didn't pass a value of 3 there, right? I didn't pass a value of 3 in the calculate factorial. It won't give the value if someone calls this method. If I want to call, if I want to print the value of 3, what I have to do, I want to call this variable as a function. If I call this variable as a function, it's going to call this inner function. For this inner function, I want to pass a value as 4. Now it's going to print this number as 4 here. It's going to give the result as 4. Okay. Now I'm going to have one more method. Okay, like what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to have one variable fact equal to 1. Fact equal to 1. Now I'm going to add the fact value with the number. Fact value with the number. Can you see how you call this function? How you will call this function? First you have to call the enclosing function, and then you have to assign to a variable called some variable called y. After that, if you print the value, it's going to give you a partial function object. You can see it's giving the partial function object because we didn't pass the value of number, we didn't pass any single value. Okay, once you call this method, it will call this calculate factor method. Once you call this fact, it's going to call this calculate factor method. Till now, you didn't pass any value. It's going to be a partial function. For this partial function, you can pass the values in a variable function itself. If I pass 3, 3 plus fact value is 1. Now 3 plus 1 will be 4. 3 plus 1 will be equal to 4. This is how you have to call. See, in the first class functions, I said all these things to you. Okay, just you have to call this function as into variable, and then for this partial function, you can pass the value of y of 3. You can pass, and you can get the value. Now I'm going to have one more example for the closures. I'm going to make underscore 2 closures underscore 2. Okay, what we can do with the closures? Yeah. Now you know what is nested function. If we have one function, inside we have another function, means that we can say it's a nested function. Okay, and then one more thing is free variables. Free variables means if you declare this variable fact equal to 1, you can able to access only in this function itself. You can able to access only the function. You can't be able to access outside other function. Normally you can do like this only. See, for example, you have some methods. If adder, I'm going to pass some values x comma y, and then I'm going to add those two values. Otherwise, I can make z equal to x, and then z equal to x, and then return sum of x plus y. Okay, sum of x plus y, I can make like z plus y. I'm going to have another method, subtract. Going to have same arguments x comma y, and then z equal to x. Can I able to access z value here? Can I able to access the z value inside subtract method? No, you can't able to access the z variable value in the subtract function, because the scope is defined only for this method. Okay, the variable is defined in scope. We can't able to access value here, but in closures we can able to access these free variables in another function. That is the first rule actually. What's the meaning of closures actually? Closures means have one block of code. In the block of code, what you have defined some variable, you can access only in the block of code. You can't able to access variable in other blocks, right? You can't able to access in other blocks. Same thing, if z is going to be a variable, it's going to have some values. That variable scope will be defined only in the function. Outside of function, you can't able to access. But in closures, we can able to access the other function variable, other function free variables, other function free variables. Okay, that's what we are seeing here. Now the fact equal to 1, what variable it is? Fact equal to 1, what variable it is? It's a free variable. Free variable means I can using this fact variable inside another function, inside another function, then we can say it's a closure. That is the first rule of closure. Otherwise I'll ask one question to you. Can you access the value here? Can we access the value here? X minus y. Can we able to access z value in the inside subtract? You can't able to access z in the subtract. But here you can see I have nested functions. This function scope is only you can access inside only function. You can't be able to access this variable outside function. But in closures we can do, we can access fact variable in another function. Okay. Now I already said about nested functions and then free variables. Okay. The closure is actually a technique actually. The closure is actually a technique which we can attach your data to the code. Now I am attaching my data to this particular code, to this particular code. If anyone asks about what is closures, you can say we can attach the particular data to this code, because if you take some other functions, you can't access that local variables inside another function. Okay, but in closures, what we can do, we can access this free variables inside another function. That is nothing but closures. And then if you want to implement the closures, we need to use free variables and nested functions. Only closures can actually only through nested functions as well as free variables. As well as the last point is going to be, we want to return the nested function using the return statement. See, return statement, I am returning the nested function. I am not returning the enclosing function. I am returning only the nested function. These are the three important properties for a closure. The first property should be you have to use the free variables. Free variables means you can access another function. These variables can be accessed inside another function, as well as second point is, so what second point? Second point is going to be you have to use the return state, you have to use the return keyword, and then you have to return the nested function. And then third one is you have to use a nested function to implement the closure. Implement the closure. Closure function allows you to use a variable even if the scope in which it was defined has been removed from the memory. Now I'm going to show these things now. You're calling this method, another method, become a 5. Once you call this method, it's going to compute the results 3 plus 5 equal to 8. After that, you're going to call the subtract method. I'm going to make 5 comma 3. 5 comma 3. Once you call this adder method, it's going to compute all the results. After computing the results, it's going to remove the data from the memory. It's going to remove the data from the memory because you called this function. After producing the results, it's going to remove from the memory. After that, once subtract method calls, after computation, it's going to remove the results from the memory. Okay, but in closures, whenever someone calls this fact method, the variable fact will be in the scopes, same scope. Okay, once it get destroyed also, the value will be stored in the nested function. See, after calling someone fact method, after computing the results, it's going to remove from the memory. But once someone calls this calculate function, it's going to give the value, fact value is 1 and the number value is 3. It's going to give the results as 4. Okay, now I'm going to show the implementation. You have to keep the 3 rules. The first rule should be there should be a nested function defined inside an enclosing function. Second one is the nested function should access the variable from the enclosing function. The nested function should access the variable from the enclosing function. It's called free variables. Third one is we have to use the return statement of the nested function. These are the 3 important properties to create a closures. To create your closures. Give me a minute.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, I already said about the 3 important properties of the creating closures. First, you should have a nested function. Second, you should have a free variable. That free variable should be accessed inside a nested function. And third thing is the return type or should be written a nested function. This is the property for creating a closures. Now I'm going to show some examples. This is going to final example. The name I'm going to keep it as name. I'm going to remove all these things. I'm going to use a module, random module. Okay. Randomly I'm going to get the values. Okay. Now we're going to have a method called random addition. Random addition I'm going to have. See, in that random addition is enclosing function actually. It's going to be a enclosing function. Enclosing function means inside we're going to have one more function. That's the meaning. Enclosing function, and then I'm going to have a list of values. I'm going to have a list of values, uh, like 123, like 1123, and then 111, 345, and then 67890. Okay, and then 23456 7. I'm going to have a list of values. Now I'm going to have one nested function because we have 3 properties. We have to in order to implement the closure, we have to achieve those 3 properties, and then I'm going to have a nested function. I'm going to keep the same name as nested func. In that I'm going to pass some arguments. I'm going to pass the argument as value. Okay, I'm going to pass some argument. I'm going to pass some argument to the nested function, and then what we can do. Okay, I'm going to have one variable because I have a module called random module, and then random dot I'm going to do the choice of value, choice of what I want to do. What's second property? Val is nothing but free variable. I'm going to use this variable in the another function because normally you can't able to do this. One in closures only you can able to access these values inside another function. Now I'm trying to use a random dot choice. You might be wondering what is random dot choice. If I run first time, it's going to pick 123. If I run second time, it's going to pick this value. Front third time, it's going to pick this value. I don't know what value is going to pick. It's going to pick randomly. It's going to pick randomly. It's going to choice, random choice, because I'm going to pass these values and then I given to the random module. It's every time we are running, right, we're going to give different values. And then I'm going to perform the addition. Okay, simple addition I'm going to perform. I'm going to have one value called temporary value equal to, I'm going to have this value, x value is there, right? I'm going to have one value because I don't know what value is going to come. And then I'm going to add with my argument this value. That's it. And then I'm going to have one print statement, values after adding, values after adding, have the placeholder. I want to show three results, so I have three placeholders. Want to use a format. Okay, in the format, what I'm going to pass? I want to pass what value, what value, and then I want to, yeah, value, and then x comma temp. Okay, I want to know what value is picked, right? So I want to see in the output. That's why I use the second placeholder for that value substitute x, and then third is going to result. Temporary value is going to be result. Otherwise, I can make it out something the output. Okay, just make it as OUT. And then what that property? What is the third property? I have this return statement. I want to return this function. Sorry, return this function. Three properties are achieved, right? First property is nested function. I get a nested function. Second property is I should have free variables. That variable should be accessed inside this nested function. Yeah, I'm accessing it. Third thing is I want to return the nested function. I'm returning this nested function itself. Now you have to say how to call this method. It's very simple. How to call this method? The same thing what you did here, right? The same thing you have to follow here also.
Give any instance.
No, don't say instance. We don't have any class here. We don't have any class. We don't have any constructor. Just say it's a variable. Y equal to variable equal to, and then you call the enclosing function. Random addition. Random addition. Now, if you print this value, what will happen? It's going to print the address of this partial object. You can see why it's printing y. Why it's printing y?
Way of
Hold a minute.
way of function.
Hold a minute. Hold a minute. I'm making some mistakes here. Yeah, what I have to do, I have to give the indentation over here because I have to return this function, right? Okay, now if you run this script, it's going to give random addition dot nested function. You can see random addition dot nested function. Now it's giving a partial object, that a partial object value is stored in the y. If I want to pass this value, what do I have to do? Y of, you can pass some values. What value you can pass? Like I'm going to pass some 10. Okay, now if I run the script, it's took the number as 1 1. See, it took the number triple 1 3 4 5. From the number, it's adding 10. If you add number 10, what here you will get? 1 1, sorry, 4 1 3 5 you will get. Okay, because if you run second time, it's going to give, add some other numbers because it's given random choice, right? Randomly it's going to pick the numbers and then it's going to add the 10. Now it's picked 6 7 8 9 0. If you run third time, it will pick some other values. Yeah, it's picked, now it's picked 123. 123 plus 10, 133. And then now it's picked 2 3 5 4 6 7. Okay, this is how you can, what you can do, you can add can call like this 20. I'm going to add 20. I'm going to add 100. Okay, this is how you can implement the closures. I hope you understood, right? I hope you understood. You should start with three properties. This values variable should be actually inside the nested function, and then we should have a nested function. One function we have should have another function. Third thing is the return type of this method should be a nested function. Okay. Now the same thing I'm going to implement for factorial. How to implement? I want to implement closures for factorial. Closures for factorial. How to implement? Uh, have one method name called factorial, and then have one free variable. Okay, fact equal to 1, and then have one more function, nested function, calculate factorial, and then I'm going to pass the number means yeah, n factorial, right? And then now write one for loop. Okay, iteral variable j in range of just pass starting index like 1, end index will be 5, and then what you can do, I want to have the formula is there, right? Fact equal to fact star j, fact equal to fact star j, and then that's it. After adding all the values, just you have to return. What you have to return? You have to return the nested function. Okay, now you're going to say how to call this method. Why it's throwing error? Yeah, I missed the colon, make a bracket, and then colon. Yeah. Now how to call this function? I implemented closures. I implemented the closures. Implemented the closures. How to call this function? Have some variable name, factorial, and then
Print
use
out
print
z.
z. Just pass some values. First print the z value. Make it mute. You're getting noise. Okay, just you're getting like factorial is going to enclosing function, and calculate factorial will be a nested function. Now I want to calculate the values. Just put some z of 5. I want to calculate the 5 factorial. Instead of you can do like this. What you can do? You can pass instead of 5 can pass num, because what values are substituting over here, right? That value will be substituted in the range. Okay. Now let's see what's the result. What's happening? Cannot access local variable fact where is associated value. Okay, what they're trying to say here is cannot access local variable fact where it is not associated with a value. Okay, it's trying to, okay, where it's not this value. Unbound local error. How we can achieve these things? Okay, what to do? Unbound local, yeah, I cannot access local variable fact where it is not associated with the value. Okay, this okay, it's not referring to this, right? Okay, we'll do one thing. Do one thing. Why it's not printing like this? I click this thing, it's coming. Okay. Non-local. Non-local. Non-local fact. Fact equal to fact story you want to make, not a non-local fact. Fact equal to 1. The value, otherwise I'll make fact plus 1. Yeah. What they're trying to say is you can access the free variable. Okay. You can't change the value. But what I'm trying to do here is previously fact star I equal to fact equal to fact star I. If you give like this, what will happen? What will happen? First, it will take the value 1. 1 into 1 will be 1. Finally, I'm trying to change the value of my free variable. You can't able to change. That's why it's throwing error. You can able to see. Don't think like that. You can't able to access a variable. What I'm trying to here is I'm trying to get the value and multiplying with 1 because the range is going to first value is going to 1. 1 to 1, I go into 1. Next iteration is going to give 2, right? I can't able to change the free variable. This is another condition actually. I can't able to change the free variable inside the nested function. That's why it's throwing error. Now how to achieve this thing? Now how to achieve the sense like temp. Now if you click this fact, it's referring this fact equal to 1, right? Now I'm going to get okay. What I can do temp value, it's one the result. Temp equal to okay, temp equal to temp of fact equal to I. Let's see the results. It's going to give none. Previously I used closures. Okay, let it be. It's a print statement of temp. Now it's giving the 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4, right? But I want to make it multiply the same value. Now I want to multiply with the same value. For that, temp into temp star j. Temp into temp star j. What will get? Get some other results, right? Let's see. Hold a minute.